for joining us tonight. Will you please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Do we have any needs for translation? No? Okay, at this time I will accept a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. At this time, we'll turn it over to our student rep.
Okay. So on Saturday, sorry, can you hear? Okay. Our boys wrestling placed 4th in state. Our girls wrestling placed 2nd. Their hard work was definitely shown on the mat. They're really, really good. This month we're celebrating CTE month. So this week specifically for FFA, and they're doing like some activities during lunch, some activities before school, and other kind of fun events. They have dress-up days as well. On March 7th, it's Mr. OHS, and you guys are all invited to go to Mr. OHS. I've never gone, so I'm excited. Doors open at 6 p.m., and this whole week, you guys will probably see on your kids' stories or stuff like that on Instagram everywhere. It's campaign week, so all of the kids who want to be a part of leadership are running for president, ASB, all of that kind of stuff. So you'll see funny flyers if you go to school, all over everywhere. We officially vote on this Friday, and then after that, then the results will come out, but I'm not too sure. But I'm just excited for the new leaders that are coming. I know we have some good people in there, and yeah.
Do you have some other exciting news you would like to share with us?
I think I'd like to just take a moment before we jump into the recognition for all the folks we have here. I think it's a cool moment for all of us to celebrate, but I'm sure most of you in the room are familiar with Gonzaga University in Spokane, well known for their basketball program, but also one of the best academic institutions in Washington for sure, but also in the country. Gonzaga has something called the Unity Scholars Program, and it's a scholarship program designed to help the university meet the mission that they've set forward, and it's about finding really good people interested in social justice, global engagement, care for the vulnerable, and care for the planet. It's part of their stated mission. And so every year they have this Unity Scholarship Program to try and meet that mission, and they look for students who are first-year applicants, and they have to be a Washington resident, so they want to take care of local, right, people that are from the state of Washington, and who have demonstrated leadership around those core components of dignity of the human person, intercultural competence, global engagement, those kinds of things. And what's really cool about it, it's the premier scholarship program at Gonzaga, and here are the benefits. 4 years of tuition and housing. So full ride. When you hear that term, that's what it means. They even pay for all your meals. An orientation program, peer and staff mentorships, a 4-year leadership cohort. So you're going to march through with these other group of 10 or 12 or 15 students in your 4-year experience at Gonzaga. Customized support in searching for internships and jobs on and around campus. They give you a chance to study abroad, and then post-graduation and career preparation. So you can imagine the value of that and how difficult it is to get, and what kind of students that they look for when they hand just a few of those out every year. And Liliana was notified last week that she's one of the Unity Scholarship winners. Excited for her and the work that she's done at Othello High School, and the way that she presents here is how she is who she is. She doesn't put on a show when she's here, and I think that came across clearly in the interview process, because it wasn't just sign an application and check a box. There were a number of interviews that she had to go through to be eligible and to receive that. So really excited for her and for her family and what it means for them. So congratulations.
Yes. We're so proud of you.
Really cool. You want to say anything else?
I have a lot to say, but I already cried it out this whole weekend. I'm just very thankful for the school district, for Dr. Perez, Ms. Perez, who helped me during the interview process. I was like shaking like crazy with Dr. Perez, like I'm not gonna be able to do this when I'm doing the interview. But when I was at the actual interview, I did it like if it was nothing. It was like it just all came naturally, and that's not me. Like where did this come from? But yeah, I'm very excited. I told both of my parents, but they were just like, oh, I don't have to pay. Well, it's more than that. But they didn't understand, but it's totally fine. They don't know. But I'm just very excited that I'm able to share this with like a lot of you guys because, well, my family doesn't know about it. So I'm just thankful. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I told her she's the smartest one on the board, and I meant it. So good for you. We're super proud of you. We'll move into our board member discussions and turn it.
That was a sort of impromptu recognition.
My bad.
Yeah,
My bad.
so we want to do the more formal recognition. So I want to invite Marion Shade forward to share with us a little bit about the fine people that we have here with us this evening.
Okay, so thank you for inviting us to be recognized tonight. This is part of our staff back here. But when we can nominate somebody for being recognized, there's not just one person in our department to, it just takes us all. And so from our mechanics, helping to drive routes, keeping our buses safe, our bus drivers, we've been in a driver shortage for many years, and our drivers are always stepping up to take on extra kids and take on extra routes. This year alone, we've gone from 29 drivers to 24, and we're still getting it done. We're still getting our kids. We've not had to cancel routes because of our drivers, our monitors going from bus to bus, helping with student behaviors, preschool, our office girls taking the phone calls for upset parents, for late buses, for missing kids that aren't really missing. But it's just easy to do our job with having this group here, and I think that they represent our district well, and I'm just very proud to be a part of this team. So thank you.
Well, one of the other things I think it's important to share when we have work here at the central office and we talk about audits, and we know they're coming and they can be time consuming, but it gives credibility and transparency and confidence to the taxpayers that we're doing what we're supposed to. These folks have them in their world as well, and so when the state patrol shows up and says we're going to check your buses, we want to make sure that they're working well, that we're keeping students safe, and so the hundreds of thousands of miles that these folks put on every year to get our kids to school, often the first person they see. And in my time in Othello, year after year, I hear about bus drivers who are some of the most important people in the lives of kids, right? They ride that bus. You might have a teacher for first grade, but you might have the same bus driver for 6 years, and they get to know them, which sometimes is good, and they get to know you, which sometimes isn't so good, right? Once in a while, it'd be nice to have them get on a different route, but. It becomes, I think, a sense of family that you really feel when you go out to the transportation department. You feel that there's connection there. And sometimes families argue and disagree. Sometimes they take sides on different issues, but they always come together in the end and support one another. And I think the fact that so many of them are here tonight is really strong evidence of that, about how much they care about each other and how much they care about the kids that they bring to school every day. So I wanted to make sure that the board got a chance to recognize them for all their hard work and the good work they're doing, because again, when they have those audits and people come in, flying colors over there, they're doing such a great job. So I wanted to recognize that.
One of my favorite site visits is always to come out to transportation. You guys have such a great team, so much heart. Marion, you do such a great job of leading this group of people and being their guide, their mentor, their leader. You do such a great job. So I really appreciate you. I would love if we could get a picture with them. Are you guys okay with that? Yeah. Okay. Everybody from transportation, come up.
Holly, you have to be in the front.
Dead center right there. I'm going to there. Lock everybody out.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, we can see. Stand up, Maya. Ready?
Thank you again. You wanna say
No, I just want to say, Marion, I don't know if this thing's on. I just want you, I think this is the first year they've ever taken it easy on you. There hasn't been very much snow for you to fight, so good job.
And thank you guys not just for taking the kids to and from school, but also to all their athletic activities and any extracurricular. Like, I know you transport my daughters multiple times. Thank you so much to all the extra effort and the late nights and everything that you guys put in for our kids. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Are we on board member discussion?
Okay, now we're at board member discussion. And I'm going to throw it over to Director Gerber for our legislative report.
Yes, so we are in week 7 of the legislative session. They released their revenue forecast, which is where they officially say the projections for how much taxes they're going to collect in the next few years. And it was higher than expected, which is good, but we're still at a huge deficit, so, whatever. So this is week 7. Some of the bills that are still in play, they're still keeping an eye on. There's one concerning taxes administered by the Department of Revenue, one trying to increase fiscal resources for students and children by providing a targeted sales tax exemptions for schools. That's one that we're interested in seeing where that one goes. There's still one making its way through concerning taxes administered by the department, one about addressing restraint and isolation of students in public schools and educational programs. There's another one reviewing the performance, operations, and funding of the state's public education systems, and another concerning school district financial management. So those are still some of the bills that are still working their way through the system, and we're WASDA is keeping an eye on. So yeah, it's going along. Any questions on any of that?
When are we supposed to have answers on those things? Do we know?
So just as the session goes, they will either pass on to the next step, or they'll die where they are and it won't pass. So as the weeks go, like there was already a bunch of bills that they were keeping an eye on that died, that didn't make it on, and so we know that those didn't pass. So just as the weeks go on, we see which ones make it to the end and which ones don't. So.
Okay.
I think one other important piece, on Wednesday we should have a few more answers about how OSPI is going to react to the 2 budgets that came out today, one from the House and one from the Senate. Both of them had significant reductions to TK in particular and to LEA. So there's some work to be done there. The TK, one of the budgets, the TK impacts were going to be borne solely by students who did not qualify for free and reduced lunch. So most of the students in our community do, and in the community eligibility program. So maybe a place like Othello would be untouched in the TK world. The LEA thing, though, is gonna touch everyone. So none of those things are solidified yet, but it's their first shot at, hey, here's our budget. We have the governors, and here's the 2 we're putting out, and now the conversations will continue. Reichdahl indicated that on Wednesday he would put out a statement in response to all of those to indicate what the real impacts might be. So we could take a deeper look on Wednesday and figure out how it might impact us.
Okay.
Pete, for me, just because of this group that comes, we usually have we go to all the schools and barbecue and for teachers. Do we ever do anything for that group there?
We had a celebration today out there for that group, for it's sort of around the recognition that we're doing this evening, but also because of the inspection they had that went so well. So, but when we do that annual one in the springtime, that's one group we should add to our list.
Yes,
I know that our maintenance staff often find a school to attend, they say on Friday, but they seem to pop up at every one. But we'll make sure that we can find a slot to fit in our transportation folks.
Yeah, I would really appreciate. I know that they're sometimes in the go early in the morning or gotta go, but it'd be nice to make them feel like, hey, they're so big a part of what we do that I'd like to take some time. Like I said, I'd love to donate it and go out and cook for them and do whatever it is that we do for them. So.
Yep. Well, we'll make sure that we add that group to our list.
Anything else for board member discussion? Okay, at this time, I will accept a motion to approve required approvals.
I'll make a motion to approve the required approvals.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Now we'll turn it over to Dr. Perez for superintendent informational items.
Yeah, I really appreciate having the full board here this evening so we could talk about our board workshop that we had just a few weeks ago. Those of us in the room from the district office were certainly listening closely and taking careful notes, and so we submitted a few documents at the last board meeting for you to review. And so I want to talk through some of the next steps and resources that we've put together and get some feedback from you about those particular items. And so that first one about interaction protocols and roles, we talked in that time that we had together about how are we going to communicate in board meetings? How do we bring new board members on to the team? How do we make sure we hear everyone's voice? What are some tools we can use to get that done? And so some of the next steps we talked about were bringing a sample document for board review and feedback. So I want to spend some time going through that and then get some input from you, knowing that this is just a rough draft. I do want to acknowledge Dr. Meek and John Wiseman for their work in putting this together. They were listening that evening. We got together briefly and talked, and then they really went and ran with a concept here. So I want to share these with each of you, and then we'll talk through the components that are here. So if you would imagine a document like this would be part of the resources we provide for you at every meeting. We'll collect them at the end of the meeting. It would sit in front of you. And on the left-hand side, it's parliamentary procedure. Hey, if I've got to make a motion. Hey, if I'm not sure I agree with that and want to amend it. Just some of the processes that boards are expected to use to do their business, right? So that's a quick guide for you. And I think certainly there's enough experience on this board. We haven't had to go into that area too often, but when you do get stuck, it's nice to have a resource. The middle chunk there, you'll see the visual concept of reminding ourselves about those important layers of feedback, and that we don't want to break that idea of chain of command that we talked about, to make sure we're engaging at the appropriate level and that we're communicating with folks who need to be in the loop around conversations that are happening across the district. So that's just there as a reminder. The bottom part of that middle chunk is what the board actually does. It can be difficult to not stay in your lane, but remember what your role is as board members. The expertise that you bring, the responsibility to your constituents, it's different than the role of the superintendent or the executive team or other folks that actually work for the district. Your role is around governance, that high level view. And so there's some reminders there about the role of the board. And then probably the most important part as it pertains to what the board talked about that evening were these discussion stems. And this pairs with the images and the board check there. So I think it was President Prowse who talked about, how do I make sure I hear everyone's voice? How do we make sure we're developing our next leaders for the board? Those kinds of things. So that actually acts as a checklist. You can imagine yourself with a sort of dry erase who says, hey, I've heard from Aaron twice tonight, but I haven't heard from board member Fote. I've got to remember to do that, and maybe one of these stems catches your eye. Hey, Bertie, I really appreciate your perspective, but I'm not sure I'm aligned with you yet. Here's what my concern is. How are you seeing it, right? Just some quick stems that we provide these all the times with our students because they're good teaching strategies, ways to develop language and encourage dialogue. And so there's some there for you to consider and think about. And then at the bottom, there are moments we've all had over the last 5 years where public comment can feel awkward and make folks nervous and those kinds of things. So just some reminders about the board's role during public comment, and I think to provide some confidence for you and security and saying, I don't have to respond. I don't have to take questions. I don't have to let it go beyond 3 minutes, right? Just some reminders about different parts of a board meeting. So difficult to capture everything that happens when you turn the cameras on and everyone has a mic, but it's our first draft at that. And so we would love to hear some feedback from you around that. We'll take some notes and get some of your thoughts as we continue to refine it.
Does anyone have anything that's glaring at them right off the bat? I'm very appreciative. Did you say Dr. Meek and John made this?
Yep.
Thank you. This is so nice. Really appreciate that. I appreciate the boxes above like our names over here on the corner, so that when we are discussing something, this is like a nice visual for me that I remember. Sometimes I get a little nervous and I don't look around enough. And so this is a good reminder for me, without, I like it. Thank you. I need to get everyone's input.
I also just want to appreciate the work you put into this. It is up. I like the parliamentary procedure part. Specifically, there's a lot of specific language that has to be used with this stuff, and I appreciate that a lot. Along with the list on the side, and plus our tables is curved more, so it's easy to see each other.
That's
so
true.
This combined with that is super helpful. Thank you.
I think we need to take this to nationals for others.
Honestly, that's a good idea. Speaking of nationals, not to change the subject, but at some point, we should talk about what's happening at nationals with the presentation. That's a different subject for a different day, but that just came into my brain.
One of the things we can do around that is perhaps we can bring the completed presentation to a board meeting, and we can walk through it in that session just so the public understands what we're sharing, and then certainly maybe the smaller group who's presenting could do something additional to that, but we'll add that to one of our next couple of board meetings.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is there anything that's not represented here that you often use as a reminder for yourselves that you would like us to consider, or is there something on here that you say, I'm not sure that's necessary, maybe we could make things larger in a different area?
Sometimes I just need a script, This is how you ask for a motion. Even though I've been doing it for a year, sometimes my mind goes blank and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here, but no, I'm just kidding. I think this is really great, really great. And it helps keep us focused with our feedback flow. I feel like that's a really great visual for us to see.
Questions there is to
Yep.
I felt like if Lazaro and Bertie were having a conversation and Bertie's trying to stem that so that in the moment you're not trying to. How could I ask this in a way that
Thank you.
and you can customize them obviously, they're just
I think it's great. Thank you, Josh. I also appreciate that you included the public comments section, because during a board meeting, like I said, it's very easy to be flustered up here, and sometimes I feel like I can't even read my notes. And so it's nice to have this to just be a little reminder that, it's not something I have to search for on my iPad. It's just right here in front with the public comment stuff. So thank you. I think this is really well laid out. I like it a lot.
It answers a lot of the questions I've had before, such as like the motion, substitute motion. I've been confused, obviously, being brand new. So it's nice to kind of just have like, this is what this means and how it works, and kind of brings me back to focus, especially like with the discussion stems too. I'm someone who kind of gets lost in emotion sometimes, so it's kind of nice to be able to be like, hey, you can actually ask this in a nicer way. So yeah, thank you for that.
I agree with Mariah. Yeah, I sometimes get lost too. I'm like, what are you guys saying? But yeah, I like this. And then sometimes like students ask like, oh, what does the board do? Like, why are you over there every Mondays? And I was like, well, this kind of helps me too and more in depth.
Director Pernetta, do you have anything you want to add?
Hey, mark your little box.
Yeah, I've heard from Aaron, I've heard from Mariah, Birdie.
No.
Don't say I didn't ask.
I gotta be quiet.
Well, it sounds like I'm hearing alignment on the components that are here. There's a couple of editorial improvements we want to make, just I think one or two that we noted after we laminated them. But we'll get those on some cardstock and get them, and there'll be a tool, an easy thing for us to recreate and to modify and to continue to use. So those are just draft ones. So at the end of today's meeting, if you want to take them with you and look a little closer at home, we're not gonna use those moving forward. So you're welcome to do that, or you can leave them around and we can connect.
I probably need to take a look at our website, but if it's not there, what the board does under our area might be something good to have. I mean, that little piece.
This chunk here.
That little chunk.
Yeah, okay. So we'll take a look at that, make sure it's aligned, and yeah, that's something we can do for sure.
Pete,
Right out of the policy.
It's on the website.
Well, no,
No.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, where did that language came from? It came from around.
You mean you didn't talk out of pocket?
Pete, what a good idea would also be is to have the team somewhere up here, which would be, Josh, just so that if you're not around, we know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. So we'll think about that. So adding the executive team.
Just so that we know.
We have a whole other side to work with.
I'll put my picture on the backside.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate all your feedback. I'm hearing alignment on the components and some improvements we should consider, and we'll bring a second draft forward at our next meeting. We'll try it in the moment there and get some more feedback, and then we'll move forward with that, okay? So let's move on to the next topic. That was STEM number 10, by the way. Just. The next one is around community partnerships and future planning. And in your conversations during the workshop, there was talk about a future bond. And certainly, we didn't even comment on it this evening so far, but the passage of the levy at above 65%. So exciting result there for the district. We also, in that conversation, talked about our partnership with the City Council, who came out in strong support of the school district levy. And there was comment there and afterward about, hey, it was nice to have that opportunity to connect with the City Council. And part of that is a calendaring issue. So this is some sample calendar changes to consider. I think it's just important to remind the board we don't have to change anything. But what happened in the workshop was a conversation about how we could stay connected to the City Council in particular as two important entities in our community, and continue to develop and strengthen that partnership. So that might require an adjustment in our practices. So the next steps that we talked about were coming up with some options, which is what you have here. They're just options, and there are other things we could do with the calendar, certainly, but I'll talk you through each of them. So we currently meet on the second and fourth Monday, like Liliana indicated. Why is she here every other Monday? At 7 p.m. And we know that this actually overlaps with the City Council meetings. They land on those same times, so it would be difficult for us to engage. Now, over the last 5 years, we've shifted our meetings in the summertime and done some adjustments. And I know that it's very difficult to get 5 board member calendars to line up, perfectly each week. So there's not going to be a perfect model, but is it worth making a change to develop this partnership is I think what the board has to wrestle with. Do you think it's that important? And so the first option is to alternate the weeknight meetings. So switch to Tuesday and or Thursday rather than Monday. And that would just eliminate the conflict with the current city council schedule. That open it up for someone to attend those consistently. Keep the time the same, but move the date. The mixed meeting model would be to keep one on Mondays. That's our pattern. That's what we've done for years. And then add a midday one. I know that from time to time that has worked for this board. And that would at least allow alternating participation at city council meetings. So maybe you wouldn't be at every one, but we could have representation from the district or the board at every other meeting. And then the other option was to keep it on Monday, keep that day consistent, but perhaps consider moving the time up so that if our meetings are done by the time that, the purpose here would be making sure that our meetings end prior to the start of the city council meetings, or any combination of those options here. So we present those just as options based on the feedback we got from you at the workshop. Was how do we consider, at least around our calendar, board alignment with the city council. So that's up for discussion.
So, question, and I guess it's to the rest of the board, is were we planning to do midday board meetings throughout the summer like we did last year? Did that work for you guys? Will it work for you guys? Because that would...
We usually start that like in April. When do we normally start that? I know like when spring sports hit, we typically move it to noon.
We did, yes. And I think certainly one consideration would be for Mariah and her schedule, and whether or not Zoom options from time to time would be an appropriate way to do it. And if that works for the majority of the board, that's what we consider. I know Aaron's schedule from time to time can be, all of you have some conflicts from time to time, but...
Because this other one seems to be pretty nice, would be the mixed, where you could, do one at 7 and then have another one at 4, and then alternate if we needed to.
One at 7 and one at noon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That mixed time meeting
Yeah.
model.
That one I'd prefer if we were going to do it like that, just because having both meetings at noon is really difficult for me to be able to get those 2 hours off during the midday. But if it's once a month rather than twice, that's something my job is a little more flexible about. But just because Dr. Perez brought up the Zoom, how can we participate via Zoom? Like, if I had to do it via Zoom, am I still allowed to like talk and do all that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because then whatever happens, but I would be able to participate via Zoom easier.
Yeah, the Zoom one is you look at us, you look at the deal, and you talk over,
Okay.
and you ask us questions, and
Okay.
yeah, it's yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was like, okay, I have to be silent, so,
No.
or just listen. Like, I didn't know what kind of, because I don't think we've done it at all since I've been on the board, but okay, yeah.
So my only question to that is, and it sounds like it's been springing on, and so part of that is not going to include student reps because they'll be soon out of school, right? But what would that look like for the school year? Would we be able to have student representation at noon? I don't know. So I just want to bring that up and look at that piece as well.
That's a good point.
Well, I did have to come one time during for a board meeting during school day, and I had PE during that time. And I was grateful that I was able to leave, but yeah, she was like asking me, "Oh, you're a student board rep?" Like, yeah, but it's also like right now I'm an AVID for that period, and it's like we're working on like our scholarship speeches and all of that, and we're getting to the actual senior stuff, so it'll be difficult. I know Isabel is even more busier person, so we try not to take away that time. But I mean, if like to fulfill the role, like, yeah, I'll come. It's also hard because I'm not always allowed to take out the car, so
I guess Pete, question would be, could we allow them the same thing to do maybe where they could also come in and do it online?
They could, and I think maybe part of your question is they'll be excused for that time too. In the past, when we've done site visits that were during the day, But again, like she makes an excellent point, particularly for our seniors. It gets to be a very busy time of year, but evening meetings at that point become difficult as well. So I think it will be a challenge either way. The noon component, it fixes some things and adds some other concerns. So there's not going to be one that's perfect for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it was, if I can remember correctly, when we were doing it at noon after April, it was, most of the time it was just, one of you guys would always be here. I think it was what it was. I don't think we've done a lot of meetings without them. God knows we need them, so.
Yeah. Two things. One, about our student reps. We may have missed a cycle for our interview process because we're going to be losing both of them in June.
Yeah,
So that's something we should think about sooner than later, is getting new student reps. Marty's on it. Doesn't surprise me. If we do choose to do the mixed time or a different model, starting in April, would we still go back to our all meetings are at noon for April and May, and through the summer? Or are we going to do a mixed model and have that be our model for the rest of the year? Aaron?
I'm fine with whatever.
It would just be, I think, I'm not don't know about Birdie, but I think Mariah would be the one that you'd have to. Would you like to do one on Zoom so you could see how it is, and would that work for you? We do whatever it is that we need to make sure that you were available and it worked for you.
All the way till May. I mean, I'm on maternity leave until May, so we could do whatever we needed. It's just during the summer, it's going to get, when I go back to work, it's going to get heavy. So it's just going to be harder for me to even participate via Zoom. That's why I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, from a development perspective of the models, we had intended whichever model we shifted to give it, a school year run.
Okay.
Give it a go, and particularly to stay within that consistent, at least with the city council as our first group we're going to try and engage with. That was our thought.
Okay. I'm totally fine with that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would be in favor of the mixed time meeting model. Choosing a different night, I think Monday is the night that conflicts with the least amount of school things, so I would be in favor of leaving it on Mondays. The mixed time meeting is good, like for the students, and for Mariah, once a month isn't so bad, trying to adjust once a month. So I would be in favor of that one. Dr. Perez, you'd mentioned that the 4:30 one is better for staff to attend, right? District staff.
Well, yeah, we thought it would be, there's just less disruption in the flow of their day, right? If you're a teacher who's interested in board meetings, or a principal, you wrap things up around 4 o'clock at the school or in your classroom. Hey, there's a board meeting today we're going to attend. And would that encourage more participation? I mean, it's just an assumption that we're making, that it would be, especially for some of our staff who live in a different community that might want to come and participate from time to time. I know in the past we've had representatives from our associations here. You might see OEA or PSC at every meeting. I think strengthening that relationship and partnership with them is, we meet so consistently outside of these meetings that they don't feel a need to be present so much, but it might increase participation from staff as well. I think that's, again, one of the pluses is you might get a few more staff members. One of the drawbacks is, our parents are working till 5 or 6. Are they going to be able to come in at 4:30? So there's some give and take with each model.
Director Pernetta, if you had a preference out of the three, what's your preference? Is it okay to ask each person that?
Yeah, we're just looking for some. I don't know that we're
just looking
so
for
much
feedback, not like a vote.
Yeah. We just want to see where folks are at, and then take away the feedback we get tonight and come up with a draft calendar for the next school year and kind of go from there.
To be very honest, I like the mixed time meeting where we could make one at night and one at noon. Although for me, it was real easy over the summer because to make that noon meeting, because sometimes in the afternoons I'm somewhere else checking on things. So it worked really well for me. So. But if I had to pick one of these versions, I'd go with the, one at 7 and one at noon, but still try to see if we could do that thing in the summer, if possible.
Birdie?
My first choice would be the early Monday meetings, then the mixed, and then the alternative. So that'd be from the bottom, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Mariah?
I agree with Birdie. I would do the early Mondays and then the mix and then the same, just backwards.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm fine with either mixed or early. I don't think the alternate one would work, but yeah. And it'll be more on Marissa to remind us all if we're changing all the time. So
I think for me, my first is the mixed time. I'm with Azaro. My schedule can be a little more flexible, so totally understand for people who can't make a noontime meeting. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I prefer the mixed meeting. And I like the noontime meetings all throughout the summer, but I'm definitely respectful of, if we're going to choose a new model, let's give it a year and see what we can do with it. So yeah, I think that's all of our feedback on that. Before we close, oh, never mind. I'm hearing alignment on this. We'd like to move forward.
So I see it a bit differently, because my understanding is that we have Director Pruneda and Director Prowse for the mixed time model. We have Director Fote and Director Munoz for the earlier Monday model. And we have Director Gerber sitting on the fence.
Get off the fence, Aaron. You got to make a decision. This is why we have 5 people.
all right, 6 a.m. Saturday morning.
I quit.
If I can come in my pajamas, that's fine.
No, really, Aaron. What?
Either one of those is fine with me. Let's either mixed or early would be fine, just not the alternate weeknight one.
So let me ask a follow-up question then. Azaro and Lindsay, what would be your second choice?
My second choice is earlier Monday meetings at 4:30. My only hesitation with that is spring sports is kind of a crazy time, and my kids all play sports, and they all have games that early in the day. So
I have to agree with that.
It's-
It's
that's a tough time.
Yeah, and for me, I got little ones that are going to play Little League in town and trying to get those, and honestly trying to coach a little team this year. And so, although I have a rivalry with Lindsay and her sister.
It's true. We were the ultimate champions, but it's okay, Azaro.
Yeah, okay. I lost one game.
Just kidding.
But that's the only problem that one would, I mean, yeah, you could miss one. That's why I guess I really like the noon meetings over the summer, was because it allowed you to be more active in the spring and in the summer with the kids out, and you're not taking up even that mixed time, that 4 or that noon would work, and it'd just be one day that you would miss. That was a consideration that I had.
Here's option 4. We could keep doing what we're doing, and for 6 months out of the year, all of our meetings are at 7 p.m., and for 6 months out of the year, all of our meetings are at noon, or April, May, June, July, August. 5 months out of the year, all of our meetings are at noon, and the rest of the time, they're all at 7. I mean,
That just becomes a struggle for me because I want to be present, and I just
Yeah.
don't think I can make every single noon meeting, especially with my work. So just, yeah. That's why I was like, once a month I can get that, but twice I don't know.
okay, so if we had meetings at 4:30, does that also put a stress on your schedule?
No.
Are you home by
Yeah.
then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because, well, on Mondays I work from home on Mondays.
Okay.
So I can get off at 4 and be here by 4:30. It's totally fine. It's just the 2 hours that I'm asking to take off. They're like, okay, well then you have to work until 6 p.m. So it just, I have to adjust my schedule that way. So it just makes it more difficult if, for example, they're like, hey, you have to come to the office today because this is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So it's just, it would just be easier for me to be home by 4
Yeah.
rather than take that 2-hour break in the middle. So
Okay.
So would you be good with the 7 and noon?
yeah, that's what I was like. I think I can swing once a month,
Yeah.
taking that 2-hour break. But like,
So you could swing the other way because Aaron obviously
yeah,
doesn't want
I was
to.
gonna say I can make it work as long as if it's like once a month. Then it's like, okay, I know on the 4th Monday of the month I need to take these 2-hour break and just be able to tell my boss that, and then it should be fine. It's just that every Monday in the
Yeah.
or every Monday in the summer, that one, if we do decide to do that, that's gonna be a little
Tough.
difficult. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what I'm hearing and what we'll do is we'll develop a calendar for starting in April. The 2 March meetings we'll leave at 7 p.m. But what we'll do at the first meeting in March is bring you that draft calendar to review.
Perfect.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know if it would matter when you guys, when would the interviews for the student reps be? Because it would matter a lot then too, because if we're going to have either juniors or we're going to have, seniors, it would impact them. So I guess, yes, Melissa.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was thinking we would have the application open till probably about March, let's see, I have like March 25th, and then run interviews the following week, whether it be March 30th, 31st, April 1st, right before we go to NSBA. So,
Would we take our new student reps to NSBA?
No.
No? Okay.
And I think what we would do in the interview process is let them know, because I think in your experience it was, hey, our meetings are every other Monday at 7 o'clock. Are you available? It'd be the same kind of thing. Hey, our meetings are here and here. Are you available?
So we're not taking the kids, but are we taking them?
Yes.
Okay, so okay. I thought there was, because there's an overlap.
Yeah,
It was because
yeah.
there was one year, I think, where we took somebody that was still on, and then there was some, okay.
Right. Okay, so what we have that feedback around the mixed time one. We'll bring a sample for you to look at the first board meeting in March, and then we'll have a decision by that second board meeting in March. So thank you for the feedback around that.
Open public meetings actually requires you to revise the policy.
Yep. So we'll bring the policy in March as well then for you to look at and adjust those times. So thank you for that, Dr. Meek. One other component before we move on is another part of the community partnerships and future planning conversation that you had. We had a conversation around the Future Ready team as an anchor to the work that we're doing and how we're communicating what will be an important decision for the community and for the board in considering a bond. So the next steps for that are that the Future Ready team will become a regular touch point at our board meetings. You should see that pretty frequently in superintendent informational items, hearing from that group. I know that some of you will be represented on that group and will understand where that team is headed. So that'll be another, I think, move for the community partnership point that came up in the board workshop. So, okay.
And when would we be wanting to start that, Pete?
Say again.
When would we start that? Having them more active in our meetings?
Yeah, I think you should expect in May and June as we
Okay.
get into the summer, right? We get through graduation, then we really ramp up. What's the next year going to look like from a planning perspective, and how do we make it feel real to people? I got a call from the Columbia Basin Herald that I thought was going to be about the levy, and they just really wanted to talk about, well, we've listened to your board meetings and we've heard some presentations, and it sounds like you're considering a bond. That's what they really wanted to talk about. So I think the energy is there right now in the community and in the region to talk about those kind of things. So, but we're like Liliana, we've got to get through graduation. We got to get through the end of the year, and we'll get past this levy experience. We have some bargaining that we'll be doing. And then I think really you should expect consistent reports starting in the summertime and then really consistently throughout next school year.
Just out of curiosity, have they came up with the next year's school calendar yet? Has that come out?
Yeah, it's always a work in progress back and forth with OEA. There's some questions about conferences that we want to make sure we get lined out. So
Okay.
we're really close.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, that was it for superintendent informational items. Appreciate the dialogue and the feedback from the board. And so we have a couple items we need to take away, and we'll bring back at the next board meeting.
Well, I appreciate all of the work that's been put in by your whole staff, everyone that's had a hand in this, both starting from our little cheat sheet here that's up here, and then the willingness to be adaptable for the board's needs for change of times. Just appreciate all the work that's gone into everything, so thank you so much.
It'll also be nice, depending on what we decide with, so that we can actually get Christina and Sister Amy and Sandra home at a decent hour every Monday.
Yeah, there you go. Silver lining. Okay, we're going to move on to our policy review. Attached are multiple policies, so please review through each of those, and we will have a chance to vote on those at our next meeting. Upcoming events, March 9th, we have a regular scheduled board meeting at 7 p.m. The 16th is our visit to Hiawatha, time to be determined, and March 23rd is another regular scheduled board meeting.
Just, Marisa, can you add in, or starting that NSBA deal, so we could have that in the back of our minds, just a reminder that we have that coming up. I know that, is that a Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
I think so. Do you know the dates, Madi?
Sorry.
I think it's April 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th.
Okay.
And then what was the day of Mr. OHS that we were invited to?
March 7th.
March 7th. Okay, does anyone have anything else to add to the upcoming events? You think that's it? Did you have anything?
There was an FFA dinner in March. I just can't remember. They said it this morning. I can't remember. Do you by chance know, Leon? There was an FFA dinner that they were going to hold. I'll get the date and put it at the next meeting.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the board self-assessment of the meeting.
Everyone's here tonight, which is always good.
I like the dialogue back and forth. It felt good today where everybody shared their opinion. Hadn't had that for a long time, so it was really nice.
Liliana had some great news. She shed a tear.
Yep.
She can't even look at us now. She's just
I love the transportation recognition. I know for my kids that rode the bus for many years, and what Mrs. Worsham, who's my, did for my kids. And so that first encounter makes all the difference. And so super proud that they were recognized today.
I'm also glad Mother Nature was easy on Mary and Shay this year, because 2 o'clock drive-arounds is probably not easy.
I really appreciate the detail that went into the superintendent in presentation tonight. I know I already said this before, but every aspect of that was really great. And just the detail that, Josh took from our board retreat and put that into the presentation tonight. Just really appreciate the commitment at that time and at this time and throughout the commitment that the district gives the board. Really appreciate it. Does anyone have anything else to add?
I really like the inclusivity of student reports and just students in general. I like that.
I'd like to thank Dr. Minks for the little checkoff list for Lindsay. Appreciate that.
Very helpful.
Thanks for reading our mind.
Yeah, I bet they did.
Yeah.
I bet
Already
she
heard
did.
from Mazzaro. No need.
I
Just
really
kidding.
appreciated the gavel at the bottom there.
Yeah.
It was,
This felt personal. This was for Lindsay with the gavel. Just kidding.
Aaron did get excited last week when he was able to use it, though.
I want to thank Erin for your continuous, to do that, what you do to bring the information on what what's coming down is not my jam, but I appreciate that it's yours.
Amen.
So
So thank you for your hard work in that.
keep that roll.
Yes. I know what that role would look like if it was me. No new news, guys. Just kidding.
We got no money.
We're broke. No new news. I'll call you when I know something. Okay, do we have any public comment? No public comment. Okay. At this time, the board will recess into executive session for 15 minutes to discuss the performance of a public employee. No action will be taken following the executive session. This meeting